Hi guys, this is Mark from Success4. I'm lucky enough to be here and joined today by Tulsi Vagjiani. And sorry if I have pronounced that slightly wrong, Tulsi. I know we've I try and practice these things. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and please just take 2 seconds just to introduce yourself.
Hi Mark, thank you for the introduction. I'm Tulsi, and I'm a motivational speaker and a rehabilitation Pilates specialist. At the moment, I'm working on women empowerment and children empowerment, and I have a big story to tell you.
Yeah, Tulsi is such an inspiration. I was lucky enough to talk on stage with Tulsi a year and a half ago now. Time flies. And it was the first time we'd met and our paths had crossed. And it's an inspirational story, an amazing woman with an amazing heart. And Tulsi, I mean, to start off with, going back to way beyond anything happened and childhood, and what was that like? Start back there for us.
Oh, my childhood was great. I lived with my mum, my dad, and my younger brother. I always remember a lot of joyous times. Actually, my mum spoke us a lot, and her ethos in life, which is quite apt to how I live now, is life is so short, enjoy it. So treat yourself, buy new things, wear new clothes, but really appreciate what you have as well. And it used to annoy my dad because for him, he came from a background where you save, save, save. And I don't know, maybe because of the hard times or whatever, but he struggled with that. So you could see like they sort of were very yin and yang. However, the support and love they had for each other, that was really evidential. Like everyone could see that they were together.
Yeah.
We were this family unit. So always remember great times, like I said, getting spoiled. My dad was quite strict, but that's because he liked us to be in bed at a certain time, so we functioned better. But he was also somebody I could wrap around his finger as well because I was really spoiled.
So you were his little girl.
Definitely. But I just remember lots of fun times, doing loads of things together. We went to Scotland together with my aunt and uncle and their girls. And I just remember the girls always saying, you get away with so much, and I did. Like with my dad, I got away with a lot. But he treated me like a princess, literally. But equally, I used to love going on jobs with him. Like he was a plumber and a handyman. So I used to love all that. So I used to love getting my hands dirty and helping him like plumb pipes and you name it. So yeah.
And
Like memory of my childhood.
Wonderful. And what about school life back then when you first started school?
Oh, I love school. I enjoyed it. I had fantastic teachers, even teachers I remember to today. A lot of them have shaped sort of how I learn and develop my own skills. I think I was very popular in school as well. Definitely people knew who I was in school. I did used to stick up for a lot of causes that, like a lot of injustices that were going on.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I was, well, probably some people would say I was a bully, but then I believe I used to stick up for things that didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't start something, but I certainly wouldn't sit back and watch something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I loved it. I had great friends, and obviously a cousin of mine who's 3 years younger than me. We grew up together, so we were always together. Everyone knew we were brothers and sisters. We were like a pact. Absolutely good school life. I think there's often a not. I did spend a lot of time at the head teacher's office. Yeah, but again, it was because fighting causes and obviously getting in trouble.
Yeah. And right, so I mean, moving on. Obviously, there was then a traumatic turn in your life. Can you walk us through what happened there?
So yeah, age 10, my parents decided like they're gonna sort of take 3 months out of the working life and we're gonna go touring in India. to go and see my great granddad, who my dad hadn't seen his grandfather for 23 years. So we decided we're going to tour India and spend a bit of time with him and have a holiday. So February 1990, we went to India. We got to our village in India, in Gujarat. We saw my great granddad, my great grandmother. We had a week with them, and we had our luggage missing, so we went back to Mumbai at the time. So my dad decided, well, whilst we're here, let's start doing touring of the south of India. So we decided we were going to go Goa and Bangalore. So we decided, well, my parents decided Bangalore. Me and my brother weren't happy because there was no beaches there. And that's when the fatal accident happened, where I was involved in a plane crash. So I lost my mum, my dad, and my brother, which was on February 14th, 1990. So the plane landing, it hit the runway, and then that's as much as I know about the accident itself. And then the sort of next sort of recollection I have of that time, I was always fighting with my brother, like, because he got away with a lot because he was younger, and I had to be the understanding one because I was older. And I wanted to sit by the window because first time I saw blue skies and green fields. But then I heard my grandmother's voice, which I'd left back in the UK. And I found it very strange because the voice is very close to me. It wasn't somebody on the end of a phone. And she's saying to me, you've been involved in an accident, your mum and dad have passed away, you look different. None of this meant anything. In my head, I believe she was here to surprise us. So I thought maybe something was happening in India. They've come to surprise us. Yeah. And then I hear a young medic's voice saying, I'm going to be looking after you. Don't worry. You're in safe hands. There's been a big emergency. And I'm a junior doctor and that sort of thing. And again, I'm like, who are all these people? Why am I not seeing these green fields and the blue skies? Then from what I know at that, I don't know how many days, it must be at least 3 days from the accident happening until I got back to the UK. So I was flown back to the UK and I was treated at St Andrews Burns and Plastic in Billericay at the time in Essex.
Okay, yeah.
And again, then the next sort of memory I have then is hearing my cousins and my auntie and uncle's voices. And again, it's like, why are they in India? Have they come to surprise us? Because again, the voices are very close to me again. They're trying to probably suppress their crying and their emotion, of course, because they've all had a loss of some sort.
Yeah.
They've then seen me look different, even though I haven't seen myself. And I'm like, why are they all crying? Shouldn't they be joyous because they've come to surprise us?
So at this point, Tulsi, you can't remember the travelling from India back to the UK, or
no,
okay.
No, because my eyes were bandaged as well.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of sedation, pain, probably a lot of bandages everywhere as well.
Yeah.
From what I know as well, I had very limited time to get treated as well. So there's had a very small window. If I didn't get treated, I could have potentially died.
Right. Okay.
Due to smoke inhalation, obviously severe burns. And if you're talking 28 years ago, the type of treatments they would have had just wouldn't have worked. But yeah, I had no recollection of time, who I was with, voices or anything. And then in hospital, was in and out of surgery a lot, obviously, under a lot of sedation. But I do remember laughing a lot because I think I had a really good rapport with the nurses and the doctors, everyone looking after me. But in the burns unit, we were allowed very limited visitors due to infections and things like that. So they said to me, who would you like to be here regularly? And I remember my cousin, because we're the same age, and another auntie and my grandparents. And they were the only 4 that were allowed in the room. The rest I used to speak whilst they were in the waiting room. But what I really appreciate now is all of them were quite young. They had young families. But every day they used to come to the hospital and sit in the waiting room just to speak to me or be in that room. And bearing in mind, a lot of them travelled an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, you appreciate now what the gone out of their way to do
Absolutely.
for you. And so at this point, then obviously you've been told about your mum and dad and your brother.
Yeah. I've been told, but it's not sinking in
Doesn't
because
seem real.
no,
No.
because it's like, how can you say something like that to me? You know,
Hmm.
I'm only 10. You know, that's and again because I couldn't see when you can't see, it's such a hard concept, you know, to understand what's going around you.
Yeah.
Although your other senses do kick in at that time, but I think because I was in and out of sedation, I suppose I don't remember a lot of it.
Hmm.
Um, and also that kind of information is hard to process
Yeah.
when in my mind I'm still on that plane.
Certainly, yeah. And so you're in hospital in Billericay. You're obviously you've suffered with smoke inhalation, and what else is wrong with you at the time?
So yeah, so I obviously had a lot of smoke inhalation.
Hmm.
I sustained 45% degree burns to my face and body.
Yeah.
Um, my fingers were in quite a bad way, so I had like metal wires to straighten them. Fractures in a few places in my body, and yeah, so just generally covered in burns.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, I didn't know what they looked like, and then sort of 6 weeks post accident, one of the nurses like said, "We're going to be removing the bandages from your eyes," and I remember asking, "Can I see what they look like?" Because what is these burns that everyone's talking about? Because even up to that age, I've never experienced any kind of burn, not even an iron burn or a cooker
Yeah.
burn or
Yeah.
anything. And she goes, "Okay, fine, but just are you sure?" So of course, there's nothing sinister here really. And they removed the bandages. Obviously, they got to adjust the lighting, and then I remember looking at my hand, and then I saw these metal wires sort of coming out of my fingers. Sort of looked a little bit like Edward Scissorhand type of thing, you know. But because it was bandaged, I still couldn't see what these burns actually looked like.
Yeah.
So anyway, then she goes, "Right, I'm going to bring a mirror in. Are you sure you're ready?" And I remember there was a few other staff, but they weren't the nurses and doctors that I knew regularly. And they sort of all assessed to make sure that I was ready for this. So I said, "Come on, let's get this over and done with. You know, there's nothing to it." Because in my head and heart, I'm still the same person.
Yeah. And had you maybe come up with a mental image of what you thought you looked like, or what these burns
No,
looked like? You had no idea at all at this point.
no idea. And because at that moment, I was talking the same, I felt the same. So I still felt like the same girl
Yeah.
who was in India. So in my head, I'm still looking like that same picture, but I just forgot what I wore when I was on the plane.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what I was probably more thinking about than what this face is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they pull up this handheld mirror, and I think they were a bit more. I think they were a lot more cautious than I was, whereas
Hmm.
I just show it to me. She held up the mirror, and then I thought it was a sick joke because that person in the mirror wasn't me.
Hmm.
I literally did think somebody drew that on. And they looked at my reaction. I think it must have been a few seconds or even a minute where I'm just kind of, but as this mirror person was blinking and moving their lips, I knew that was me
You realise,
because that's
yeah.
what I was doing. And it's in that moment that I've realized something has happened, but still not believing that I've lost my parents, or still not believing that it was a plane crash.
And that was going to be one of the things I was going to ask, is whether at that point when you saw that in the mirror, did that reinforce the fact there had been an accident and possibly your parents weren't no longer with you? Did that make any of it a bit more reality?
I think it made it feel like something has happened.
Hmm.
I still couldn't believe that what everyone was telling me had happened.
Yeah.
But maybe like it might be a different version, you know. But that's when I realized that, oh, is this what burns look like? But again, I never kind of thought of it going, oh my God, I look different. Because everyone around me treated me the same.
Hmm.
Didn't treat me any special. I guess like my family have had 6 weeks to get used to it before I have,
Yeah.
because they've got to see it when they used to come and visit. But I thought this is okay, it's fine, because everyone's treating me okay, no one's really making it a big deal, then surely it isn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in the hospital it's a safe environment, no one's really judging you because they see this day in, day out. Obviously working in a burns unit, it's the norm, right? You know, to see people with burns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I never saw it as anything different. So my presumption was as soon as I leave hospital, that's it. It's kind of back to business, really, you know, go back to school. It's all going to be okay.
So you were sort of thinking that was going to be, you know, sort of fairly imminent. You were going to be heading back off to school and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, nothing major's really happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've always been that way. So I was like, even if I fell down, this is before the accident, if I fell down, got up, got on with it, doesn't matter if it was bleeding and whatever was going on, just get on with it.
Yeah.
So again, I guess I had that even then.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it's going to be a walk in the park, to be fair. Like, it's only burns, it's not limiting me in any way. And at that point, so I was still in bed. So, you know, but then of course, sort of with physio and that, started to get out of bed to walk again. And it was strange because I was like, why can't I walk? It's a natural thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not realizing that many weeks in bed, of course, it's weakened me. And I was determined because, again, it's in your head, you can do a lot more things than what your body might be capable of, right?
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, right, ready to run and leap. And then I fell when I got out of bed because in my head, like I said, I could do it.
Yeah.
And the physio's telling me, no, it's not that easy. And I thought he was quite patronizing. It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's not that easy. Of course it's easy. You just walk.
Yeah.
But that's always been with me, I suppose, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long from there on then? How long was it? And there's obviously there's without going into loads of detail, there's obviously a recovery time for each part, and there was several operations, and there's you've been through so much. How long was it until you were able to go back to school? Go back to because I believe you lived with your aunt and uncle.
My grandparents.
You were
yeah.
your grandparents.
Yeah.
So how long was it from there after the accident that you ended? You were able to actually start going home to your grandparents and to school and.
Yeah, so February is when the accident happened, and June of that year, so 1990 is when I got discharged.
Yeah.
And sort of, I was going to hospital every day to do physio, bandage change.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started school sort of mid-June. So I was home for 2 weeks, and then started school, and the school's on top of my road.
Yeah.
I went back to the same class, but I had a day visit in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I was allowed to go back to the school and for the students to sort of meet me, so my close friends.
Yeah.
Very surreal. Again, in my head, I thought, nothing's really happened. I'm going to get on with it. They're going to accept me as I am. And here we go. Of course, I can see now, like at age 10, you see this person who doesn't even look like the person that left a few months ago. How are you supposed to deal with that person?
Yeah.
None of us are fully equipped at age 10, especially in these situations, but they did. They just took care of me, brought me back into integration, into class, caught up with things that I missed out on, told me they've missed me because, again, I was that class person that was really popular.
Yeah.
And you take that popular person out and then everyone sort of finds their own roles and go, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
So they sort of put me back in that again. I did feel different, of course.
Yeah, what was the biggest change going back into school?
I think the biggest change was I didn't look the same.
Mm-hmm.
But certain things were quite limiting. So like kicking a ball, I used to love playing football.
Yeah.
I was like all the football teams. So kicking a ball was quite painful,
Right.
but it shouldn't have been.
No.
But it was, and I couldn't appreciate that. And
So
then my
just
friends are like, "It's okay, you'll get there." And it's like, no, but I want to be there now.
yeah, yeah. Trying to you can't not understanding why it's something so simple as kicking a football has changed. Yeah.
Yeah, and although I know we don't get the best of summers, of course, but we still get some sunshine. So I had to stay away out from the sun as well.
Okay.
So I was in the classroom whilst people were playing outside.
Okay. That made it
So
harder. Yeah.
yeah, it just made it hard because I liked being outside. So again, even in the playground at lunchtime, we were playing football or rounders or something or chase, all those kind of
Just
things. And I
yeah. Games
and
that
I
you
just had
play
to
as
sit in the
kids.
classroom and watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So it made it very hard, and obviously growing up under the care of your grandparents,
Yeah,
how was that different to your friends and your?
yeah. It's difficult because obviously cultural background and traditional ways, and a lot of it was based on my looks. So that's when I really realized how important looks were.
Hmm.
Prior to that, it never bothered me, you know. But the kind of words like you're never going to meet somebody, you're never going to get married, no one's going to fancy you. At the age of 10, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
So I automatically internalized all of that. And that's when the negative aspect of my confidence came about. I had no confidence then. I tried to sort of make it in life, sort of as you muddle yourself through. But inside, I was day by day was just hating myself more and more,
Hmm.
and I couldn't accept what happened to me. What have I done so wrong that this has happened to me? These were the kind of things I was carrying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I've had great schools, so that was the end of primary, and then I was starting secondary that same year. So in secondary, again, they were prepared like by the nurses and social services of how I'm going to look, make friends with her. She has the same needs as all of you. Just make friends. Don't treat her any different. And I remember making amazing friends when I started school, and they're still friends now as well. And secondary school life was fantastic, but I missed so much again because being in and out of hospital, going for
Yeah.
physio,
Yeah.
and that continued up until the third year of secondary.
And have you kept a mental note of how many operations and things you've had since then? To
Yeah, I up till the time I got discharged in 2000, it was about 75.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
75. And then there's a few that was sort of done here and there, here and there. So yeah,
Yeah. That's a lot. I mean, that's it's an unthinkable amount for any child to have to go through. So that's
yeah,
yeah, amazing. And so obviously off the back of that, yeah, you've missed a lot of school. You've missed a lot of sort of that bonding time with friends, all of that sort of thing.
yeah. And I suppose I never, because when I didn't pass something, it wasn't because I didn't know it, but that's what I felt. Like I felt, well, I didn't feel clever,
Hmm.
but I didn't realize that how much school I'd missed. I must have missed chunks of important lessons to
Yeah.
understand that. For example, like I have weakness for simultaneous equation. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not using in my life, of course, but
Yeah.
when it came to the exam, I just didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't appreciate the fact that all that time I missed, it's hard to catch up. How much catch up can you really do?
Yeah, yeah, and even going back over it, it's
Yeah.
it's very hard. And so how has that just not the accident side but the school side of it then, and missing those things, how has that affected you going forward in life?
Um, it's not affected me greatly, but I think it just affected me in terms of confidence.
Mm.
I'm one that I retain knowledge very quickly, and I love learning. I think that's been something that's always been with me. I love learning, but that's something I was speaking to someone about is because I missed foundations in life. If you don't have foundations, it's hard to always keep being grounded, right? Because if you don't know the foundation of maths, for example,
Yeah.
and then you start learning simultaneous equations, it's not going to work,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I missed so much foundation. So I did all right, I did really well for what I did. Didn't get the best of grades, but that didn't stop me, because whatever I did in life, whatever I've chosen after, I've chosen it, and I've got good grades based on the hard work I've been putting in when I could. But the thing is, I used to give up very easily.
Okay.
It sounds really bizarre, because in one side of my life I never gave up, like knowing that it's going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on an academic side of things, when things got a bit tough, I wanted to give up. So it was always challenging. Yeah.
Fully understand. It's something that most people just wouldn't be able to comprehend, having that many operations, having such a life-changing moment that's, sort of, and at the age of 10 to have all of that happen. But you've, since obviously leaving school and things, what have you been doing with yourself after leaving school to find yourself now in the situation you're in?
Yes, after school I went to do hotel and tourism. I love the fact, just because I wanted to travel, but it was an industry that wasn't for me, because it was based on looks and image, and again that set back my confidence. So then I went on to do health and social care, because again I loved caring and I loved giving to people. So I went to do that, finished that, and I went to do a degree in psychology, but I still wasn't fulfilled. And then I sort of changed directions into counselling. And I was one of the youngest people to do counselling, because they sort of take them on about age 25, 30 plus, because of experience.
Yeah.
But I was 22 when I did that. And more than it being a career, I learned a lot about myself. And that has been a really good stepping stone, because that started to sort of change my confidence a little bit. And then on the back of that, I went on to do a degree in applied health sciences, where I specialized in Pilates and massage. It's in that time another crazy ordeal happened, and again, something so big. I was so ready to do this degree, because now I'm at a stage where I want to do it. I want to be there. I'm enjoying the process. I found that confidence to know that I can complete this degree, and I'm not going to give up, even though it may seem hard. And I'm just thought, why now? Like, I'm only 26 and I've got to go through this. So yeah, lots of challenges, but it's those challenges which are sort of why I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, because it's owning those challenges and sort of sharing out that we all have them. No one's exempt from challenges. Also, no one's exempt from problems or things happening to them. But it's also how we deal with them, how we cope with them, how we change things around. And it's not easy to change things around, because we've all grown up to believe things are negative. Like, poor me, why me, it shouldn't happen to me, I don't deserve it. We use those type of things because that's just something we're ingrained with. But if we were taught how to flip it the other side, can you just imagine how much more richer we would all be in dealing with these things, Yes,
certainly. And I think from, you would lose very little respect from anybody if at the time you were just curled up in a little ball and just, and done exactly that, because that is, there's not many people would be able to comprehend going through any of that. And it would have been no blame on you at all if you had, but you've done, you have done the opposite. You've sort of built from that. You've built what you're doing now. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing at the moment and how you're sort of using your situation to and embracing it in a way to do the work you're doing.
I mean, at the moment, I'm sort of on the back burner with the Pilates side of things. I am rehabilitating my body again, so I actually have my own Pilates teacher. Just learning my body again, strengthening it. But my job is my path has sort of taken a different turn. I'm now a motivational speaker, and again, it just happened by accident. Shared my story. Prior to sharing my story, I was always ashamed of it because, again, culturally, growing up in an Asian sort of situation is don't talk about it. I was made to feel a bit shamed. Maybe it's something you did. This is why this is happening. So a lot more negative.
Yeah.
And then I shared my story. I was shaking like a leaf. For anyone who's ever spoke on stage first time, it's scary.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? But when I got a standing ovation, and then a few people came up and said, thank you so much for sharing your story. Wow, I've got something out of it. To which I said, what would you get out of my story? There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
It's just what I've been through. And then had an opportunity to do it again and again. And each time I shared it, the burden in, and I guess I was probably getting some sort of healing from that, because every time I shared it, it helped that many people, whatever they took from it. Again, I suppose whatever I've been through, okay, not the plane crash or anything else, but everyday human emotions, we can all connect with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing special in that, like, for example, being rejected, when you really like someone and they don't like you, or not getting that job, or not getting that outfit. All of those are everyday things we all experience. And when I touched on that, that's when people go, wow. And the more I've been sharing it, the more I realize that these stigmas don't have to live in my head anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to give out. That all of these things that you feel you're suffering in silence, you really aren't alone. You may feel you are. You may feel like you're the only one in the whole world going through that problem, but know that you're not.
Amazing. And so I've seen you obviously talk a number of times, and it's a very powerful story, which and we've sort of only to scrape the surface really of what we've been speaking about today. So I know we've been working on it for a while, but you're working on a book.
I am. It's forever. Yeah, no, I'm working on this book. I feel more ready than ever to share it, and I think it was always finding out what kind of angle I'm going to write this book on. Is it going to be an autobiography? Is it a self-help? What is it? Is it like a memoir? But I feel like it's a collection of everything. But I sort of want to write a book where I can reflect back on and know I did the best I did myself at that situation and given time, and make peace with that. So, and once it's written, isn't it? There's basically no going back, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to go back and rewrite history or anything. I just want to share it as it is.
Excellent. So that's happening at the moment. That's work in progress, as they call it. We've also got the possibility of a documentary coming up as well, which will be amazing.
Yes.
It's something we're going to work with you on here at Success4. So yeah, lots of things going on. And then moving forward, you're away very soon.
Yes, I'm going to Africa soon. So I'm going to Morocco, and I'm going to be speaking to it's a gala. It's a dinner gala, raising funds for helping women and children in Morocco back into education, and those, for example, in poverty, sort of helping them out. But my kind of angle on all of this is taking away stigma from things we're dealing with in life, and bringing in social integration and telling them they are good enough, they can do this. And for children in particular, want to empower them so when they get to the age that I am now, they're not fighting the battles of confidence in the way that I've had to. So giving them ownership from day one, so that they become leaders. We do not need a world of followers, we need leaders.
Definitely.
And that's the kind of thing that I want to do, and that's happening in September.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I get to do my ambassadorial role, so I'm really excited.
That's amazing, and it's come even in the short time that since our paths crossed. I think it was about 18 months ago now. You've got so much going on. I've seen you on BBC. I've seen you on. You've been on TV. You've been on radios. You've been doing podcasts. You've been doing so much stuff, and it's not. it's not all about you, is it? And this is the thing that's amazing. Every time I listen to one of your podcasts and that, it's not about you. It's about what other people can take from it, which is I find powerful.
For me, like from what I remember from a young age, and it's so funny because I went to a school reunion recently. Was me and my best friend, we were always campaigning for something in school.
Mm-hmm.
I just always remember they go, now what do you guys want? And we wanted to change this little courtyard into somewhere special. We wanted to fight for our sort of student union block, all of these things. And I remember from a young age, I hated anything injustice. Injustice really got to me. My mum's friend, my mum's boss's daughter, she had a missing limb, and I remember staring at her. I was about 6. And my mum said, do not ever stare at her. You don't know what she's been through. Instead, be kind to her.
Mm-hmm.
And that sat with me for a very long time. And for me, like my biggest drive and my biggest passion in life ever is serving humanity. That's without a shadow of doubt. That's why when I went into the care field, it was because I needed to do something for somebody else. And for me, it's always been about pay it forward. It's never been about what's in it for me.
And that certainly comes across, and that's what I think speaking to you is one of the enjoyable parts about speaking to you, because it is such a, like I said, it's such a powerful story where a lot of people would have just curled up in a ball, and to hear the way you talk about it and the way you, I'm not saying, I'm trying to think of the right word. Not embrace it, that's the wrong word, but you've used it to certainly influence thousands of people that I know of, let alone all the events you've done that I haven't been to. So
we want to reach millions now, so there we go. That's our target.
Definitely. Well, Tulsi, look, I mean, everybody, if anybody wants to be able to contact you, is there a way of doing that?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. And I'm on site, so www.tulsivagjiani.com.
Okay, and we'll put a link up for that, certainly.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram. So yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so Tulsi, I mean, I know, I am amazed by what you've done. I'm really proud to be working with you on different projects and things like that. And I just want to say a massive thank you on behalf of Success4 for just putting yourself out there again and just telling your story. I know it's not for anybody that hasn't been through anything in their life and thinks it gets easier every time you tell it. I know for a fact it doesn't, but I think it's you tell it for a different reason, which is what makes it seem easier. So.
Well, no, I want to say thank you for the support as well, because sort of meeting you almost 18 months ago, and it's just that giving me that drive and push to just go out there even more. I suppose everyone you meet always sort of pushes you to a better direction. It's that confidence, and I suppose people see more of your ability than you would ever see it yourself the first time.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for that as well, Mark. I really appreciate it, and everyone at Success4.
Really appreciate it. Lovely. Well, this has been Success4. I've been lucky enough to be here with Tulsi, and thank you ever so much for joining us, and we'll speak again very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.